Huh?
Welcome, everybody.
Are both of those unchecked now? Like they're both black?
No, they're red.
They are?
Yeah.
We're taking a minute. Jamie's getting some shit
And then
squared
get our
away.
names.
Are we live right now?
Yes, we are live.
Yeah, it's live.
Oh,
It's live.
okay.
You
That's
can
what I'm
hear
hearing,
us,
huh?
right? Like,
There we go, Chris.
Okay.
So okay, if you can hear us, it's fine. The
Yep.
thing's just not updating. Like it's not showing that it's I think it's frozen.
What happened?
Like I can't.
Somebody said our mics just cut out.
Yeah, see, I can't tell if it's.
Did our mics cut out?
Hang on, I'm gonna
We're gonna reboot the
yeah,
stream.
I'm gonna reboot it.
So we'll be back in 1 minute.
Yeah, like not even that. 1 second. We'll be
Oh,
right
they
back.
can hear us? Thank you.
Are now. There. That should be back up in just a second. There we go.
Oh, we're back.
Cool. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. What's it called? The display wasn't updating on the live stream, so I couldn't tell if we were actually transmitting or not. So we just wanted to make sure that we got that all up and running. Yeah, we're live.
Yep, and here we are.
Cool. Wow. So this is the first time we're gonna have actually 5 people on the thing, huh?
Kind
It
of.
is.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of back and
Half,
forth.
because one person can be squeezed off. You could actually scoot over more, Jamie. I could see the screen. Chris, you want to scoot?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Gotta adjust
Make
my
some
mic here a
room.
little
We got
bit,
another
yeah.
guest coming on.
There we go.
Chris, you can cuddle with me. It's okay.
Please don't.
Yeah. Uncomfortable.
No means no.
I'm uncomfortable.
Anyone
Oh,
tuning
you
in
want me
right
to
now
cuddle
is
with
like,
you
why
too,
are they
Jamie?
all squeezed together? Just make your way.
I know.
in.
Yeah, we're all on one side, like just no reason.
We got the space for you on the screen if you look at it.
Yeah.
Did you bring your headphones? Awesome.
You won't be half a person.
What's up, everybody? We are live. How you guys doing?
Yeah, what's going on, chat?
Someone's getting cozy.
Yeah, this is the look at Val sporting
Who's
the
sitting
shirt.
on whose lap?
Oh
huh?
yeah.
She's rocking the Grim 86
If you want-
giveaway shirt.
So you're not cut off there.
Wow.
Say hello, Val.
You
Hi,
can get you can
guys.
get just a little over more, Jamie, just barely.
I
Yeah, when you
try,
If you look at the
my
screen.
mic won't fit.
Yeah.
Hang on, I gotta.
Ooh.
Adjust.
Yeah, you gotta adjust it.
Everyone's like, why don't you guys have 5 people on the show? Another
yeah.
guest. This is
yeah,
why.
This is
Yeah.
this is gonna be a
This
little
is
different.
exactly why.
Yeah, it's my first time here on live. Hello, everybody.
under
How you
bad
guys doing?
Wait, this is your
circumstances.
first live stream?
Yes, it is.
Oh wow.
what?
Okay.
You're gonna get your cherry
Okay.
pop, bro.
Yeah.
Phil, what's up? Chelsea, Corey, Jason. Looks like we got Steven. Who's this?
I don't know.
Phil Bailey.
Who's,
All I know is we got a bunch of Grim 86 Freedom First podcast family on right now.
Yep.
Yep. What's
Yeah,
up, Freedom Fighters? How you guys doing, man? Glad to be
Cool.
on.
Yeah.
So we'll wait a couple seconds. You want to like do the if you scroll down, it's got all our media thing. We can do that
Oh,
while
yeah.
we're waiting
Okay,
for people
so-
to join in.
While we're just sort of getting started here, if you guys are probably all watching us here on YouTube, so please make sure you like and subscribe. If you go down and if you're on your phone, if you hide the live chat and then you click the thumbs
I
up
know.
button, that gives us viewership. That'll help the spread of this live stream. We are shadow banned on YouTube, so people that search for the things that we use our hashtags to embed in our videos, they don't come up because we're flagged as probably a hate group or some bullshit. So yeah, you have to like our video and you guys can share it to your social media platforms so other people can see it. But that's the only way we get exposure is by word of mouth now because all the search algorithms work against us. We're shadow banned. But if you're not watching us on YouTube and you're miraculously watching us through some other method, you can also find us on Twitter, Facebook. We're on Instagram, SoundCloud, Pornhub, Patreon. We're also on Spotify. You guys can listen to us wherever, and we're available on all those different platforms. So please go ahead and stop by and drop us a like. If you guys want a cool shirt like the one Val's wearing, similar to the one she's wearing, you can go to shop.spreadshirt.com/Grim86. And you can pick yourself up some merchandise that is guaranteed to get you laid. So
Or it might give
please,
you
I just
boobs.
want to push your buttons really quick.
my
Okay.
buttons, my
All right,
classic.
I feel better now.
Boop boop
Ooh.
beep boop. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that, man. The shares, we need it. We need it. That being said, you guys can look down in the description below, and if you decide you want to donate to this podcast, you can click the little link on the bottom. You can tip us. You can send us some. You can send us some cash. It goes into a PayPal account that we use for other stuff on the show. We used it last week to buy the extremely hot gummy bears, the world's hottest gummy bear, which we are not going to eat today.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because of this nonsense.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about what happened.
That will happen next week. You
at the
can see us
Garlic
die
Festival.
then, you know.
Yeah, so we're going to sort of just take today to kind of talk about what happened yesterday at the Gilroy Garlic Festival, and we're going to talk a little bit about the active shooter scenario and what we know. We got a couple cool, so Valerie and I were there. We were on the ground when it started happening, and then, I had communication with Johnny. He's listening to the police scanner. I was listening to the police scanner on my phone. I never felt more stupid for not bringing my fucking radio with me, because I could have at least gotten in contact with him via radio, wouldn't have to worry about cell service and everything. Once the scanner that I was using on my phone got up to 1,300 listeners, it dropped connectivity, and I couldn't get back on it for the rest of the night. So
yeah, I believe that they actually shut off the feed is what they did too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna pause it real quick. So, can you just give everyone that's joining us? Most everyone knows what it is. But just give a quick version of what the Garlic Festival is, because you've been part of it.
Yeah. So Gilroy Garlic Festival has been going on for 40-something years now.
40 years.
It is it's a festival. It's a food festival. I think it's actually the largest food festival in the world. We get something along the lines of 60,000 people or some shit like that come to it.
The whole weekend,
up to 100,000.
Yeah,
is it?
Up to and over 100,000.
Okay, so it's a lot of people. It is a Bianca. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. 41 years. We got. It's a food festival. Okay, you go there, you eat a bunch of stuff that has garlic in it. It's fucking awesome.
And there's tons of volunteers, not just people paid to do all this, right?
4,000 volunteers apparently.
That's insane.
That's
dude.
what I
And
heard
we're all
yesterday.
about volunteerism here, so
voluntarism.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of the proceeds go to charities as well as high schools
Right.
fundraising, and it's not like the city doesn't make a whole lot of money from it. It's all about charities and raising stuff for them. It's not about raising stuff for Gilroy.
Right.
And that's what makes it such a community event, and that's why the volunteers are there. I saw a bunch of cheerleaders walking around in their uniforms from different high schools. They're there doing their volunteer work for
Yep,
for
the
getting
football
that
teams,
cheerleader
basketball
stuff.
Right.
teams, they run the trash,
Yeah.
they do all kinds of stuff.
Outreach programs, just all local organizations who are nonprofit benefit from the hours that they spend at the Garlic Festival.
Yeah.
The Garlic Festival pays them to be there, and they use that money in our community right here in Gilroy, California. I mean, it's pretty amazing that you have 4,000 people expending their time to make this event happen. And a lot of people that I grew up with, I know, volunteer. That's kind of like a rite of passage in Gilroy, is to be part of the volunteer.
Yeah, and if anyone is not a lot of our viewers are from this area, but if anyone isn't from this area or just is watching this, they wouldn't know that pretty much everyone here knows multiple people that work there, that are involved or have been affected by the tragedy.
Right. It was pretty insane. So we have a lot of people volunteering, and these are people who grew up in Gilroy. I mean, so we all know each other. I think Police Chief Smithy said it last night that it's like a family reunion. So you see friends that you don't see really normally during the regular year. You see them at the Garlic Festival, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, you're right about that. Because I went a couple years ago. I don't go every year just because I've lived here my whole life, and it's kind of the same thing over and over. But I went a couple years ago with one of my friends. She had never been, so I was like, let's go. I saw tons of people I don't normally see. Everywhere I look, I saw someone I knew.
Right.
It's just a big family.
Right.
Oh shit! Did I misspell live stream? I did.
So when.
Well, and everyone always says it's kind of like a high school reunion.
Yeah,
kind of
totally.
thing. That's what all locals
totally, yeah. So when this went down, it was just shocking. It would just, I wasn't expecting it. My nephew had posted, or he sent me a link and to somebody's Twitter account, and they were showing people running and scattering, and I was shocked. My first instinct was to get up and get dressed. Because I seriously,
Right.
I didn't know, honestly, I didn't know what to do. I was just this isn't, this can't be real. This isn't happening. What's going on? Like, it was just so shocking.
Yeah, Johnny and I were hanging out watching TV. I happened to look at my phone and my Facebook. I think it was within a minute of it happening, my buddy posted something about active shooter, and I told Johnny, Johnny ran and got the scanners, and right about then we had tons of people calling us just to see what's going on.
Our phones were just inundated. It was it was crazy.
Yeah, it was so like a lot of people that I had seen that yesterday, a lot of people that I had seen were texting me. We're trying to text out all of our friends, family members. We got a group chat with my family. Oh, look at that. Whoa!
Steven, right on.
20
Thank you,
bucks,
Thank
dude.
you for that.
Hey,
That's
thanks,
awesome.
man.
So
we appreciate that.
Let me real quick go ahead and say and then we'll let you do it because you were on the ground.
Sure.
So basically, Bo got a message from one of his friends. Immediately, we got another message from a friend on my phone as I grabbed the scanner, put that on, and then immediately, everyone that we all know, all our close friends, all started messaging each other, making sure everyone's safe, and we just want to make sure that close circle of friends first, and then we kind of reached out from that, and then checked on everyone. We were listening to two different scanners. We had the sheriff's department, and we had the Gilroy PD,
local PD.
yeah, and we were listening to them. So we were listening to as everything was unfolding. And outside of my house, which is not super close to the fest, but it's close to enough to the freeway to hear it, you could just hear the law enforcement response, and it was beyond anything I've ever heard.
Right.
And it was going for 3 hours straight, sirens. You would not. It just kept going down the freeway 101. And then basically from that, all of our buddies were calling us. As a matter of fact, some of the guys were leaving the fest, and they were calling me. You could just hear cop cars blowing by them, and they were asking what was going on to me. And then basically we from that point, as that was going on, I just got this sinking heart feeling really quick, and I go, fucking Jamie, our Jamie, is there right now. And then I go, Val's there. They're all working there. They're all there. So I reached out to him. He was the first person I actually reached out to. And then and I'm just going to say what your response was. We're okay. We're working through it. And I was first I got that okay, but working through it means that you still got to work through it, right? So, we're trying not to obviously take up his whole phone time here because I know he's working through it. But that's a weird text message to receive. You know what I mean? And at that point, I'm going to turn it – well, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie because he was actually there and Val was there. So let's go from that.
So when I got your text message probably 5-6 minutes in, and so I want to just say all the press conferences and all the aftermath that we've heard, the incident was resolved within 1 minute. But then there was speculation there was possibly a second shooter or an accomplice of some sort. No clue as to whether or not they were armed, but – what I'm thinking is that somebody somewhere said to some media outlet or some law enforcement agent, I think maybe I saw someone else this, right? And so then now there's a speculation that there could possibly be a second shooter, a second accomplice, someone else involved. And so that was the only reason why the search went on into the nighttime. If somebody didn't say that, or if somebody didn't report that, because we still don't know if it was true or not, then
it's still actively they're investigating as if there's another.
Exactly. So it would have been just resolved and done. However, because they said that there was possibly a second shooter, then this whole mass hysteria kind of stayed. So what happened was about 5-6 minutes in, when I told you that I was working through it, what I had done is we basically we're working in the volunteer area, so we're underneath the tent. We're kind of in an enclosed area. There's only one way in and one way out for the most part because we have to funnel, make sure people aren't getting into the volunteer area that aren't actually volunteers, so on and so forth. Well, we had to kick open part of the fence so that people could run out because they wanted to run the opposite way of the entrance for obvious reasons. And my mom's car was parked right outside the fence. So what happened was we opened the door and people are having to split around her car, and it's just causing a bottleneck.
Oh, man.
So after a while, I made sure that Valerie, and then she was with a couple of other ladies. She was trying to console them and doing a bang-up job keeping everything together. I told them, you guys go ahead and move around behind the refrigeration units because we were serving beer, and so there were 2 refrigerator trailers there, and I knew that.
Cover, yeah.
Exactly. Those are cover, right? So I put them behind those. I was standing behind the hood of my mom's car because I know an engine block will stop a bullet if it needed to. And I just kept an eye on my mom and my little brother because they were also volunteers, and they were actually the ones that were inside the volunteer area ushering people out. So I made sure that I maintained line of sight with them, and then I tried to keep line of sight on the alleyway that I was in left and right because I still didn't really have an idea where the guy was coming from, but I had an idea which direction he was, so I made sure to maintain line of sight on that way. Could see people evacuating, could see law enforcement and EMS coming in on that one side, so I knew that there was no active situation over there that we needed to really worry about, but I made sure to maintain line of sight. That way, if anyone did come down that alleyway, I could at least start shoving people out of the way or a different direction.
Dude, that's so scary that you had to be in that situation, man.
So we were talking about it last night, and this is like working security like these guys do. Like, this is something they come in contact all the time. This is the first time I've ever had to deal with like a true life and death situation, and I admit, not proud of it, but I was shaken. Like I had the adrenaline going, so I was shaking, but I never raised my voice. I never started panicking or running, and I tried to keep people calm because a lot of people were starting to trample and like bottleneck near the fence area. And I was like, hey, everyone just calm down. And they did. They saw me, and everyone kind of slowed down a little bit, and they sort of started filing past me. But that was the craziest. Like, never in my life have I wished I was armed more. And the feeling of helplessness that I had, I just can't explain. Because this guy has the ability to now, he can reach out and touch you just by seeing you from a long distance away. And if I can't close that distance in time, he's going to kill me, right? So, fortunately, we were lucky enough. We didn't see the guy. We did hear the shots fired. I did not think it was gunshots at first. I thought it was...
I didn't either. Remember, I turned around and I was like, were those gunshots? And
yeah, so Val, tell us, now kind of pick up or start back where he started so we get your version of it too.
I mean, I was stepping to the quote-unquote behind-the-scenes area. They have like the mesh fences that, for the backlot employees driving the trash around. I was going to step back there and, have a vape, and all of a sudden the pops went off, and I turned to Jamie, who's standing right there. I'm like, those were gunshots, or no? And he was like, no, those can't be. And his brother standing next to him, he's like, no, those were too quiet. And then they can, a small pause, probably 2 to 3 seconds, and then more. And that's when the panic ensued. You look over at Gourmet Alley, and where all the food is, where all the mass congregated people are, the biggest congregation, and they just rushed the opposite direction. It was insane to watch that many people run the other way.
Yeah, it was extremely surreal because I'm like, no, those were fireworks. It had to be. And then I look through the fences out into the crowd, and you just start seeing the crowd just disperse in both directions.
Yeah.
Everybody. There was a sea of people, and then you could see through it like fucking Moses.
Right, and that's a good reason why you want to be alert, because like the way the sound travels outside with a firearm or a firework, even for that matter, and you got all the crowd and the tents and all those things, it's going to absorb it differently, right? Well, and all the noise that kind of cancels it out.
You know what it was, though?
So that's why it's good to have that visual when you're on yellow, right? Like then all of a sudden you're going to orange because you're going to be scanning.
Now there's a threat. Yeah, there is. I don't know who it is yet, but there is.
That's where
one.
your visual confirmed it, right?
Yep.
Not just your hearing.
Like the reason why I didn't think it was gunshots is because I've been around and shot a lot of guns, right? And I know that like a gunshot, like you hear in a movie or whatever, it's a snap. Everyone hears that. But then if you are near a gun being fired, there's some bass to it. There's a thump that goes along with that bullet being fired, depending on the caliber. The only gun that I know that makes a snap and it stays a snap no matter how close you are to it is a 22. Yeah. Anything a 380 or a 9mm or above, they all make.
And it would have been a lot more quiet too.
Right. And they make a thump is the thing. So I don't know. It was absolutely insane. I didn't think it was gunshots, and then once you saw the people running, it was like, oh shit, this is real. And then it was like, okay, line of sight. Where's my mom? Where's my brother? Where's Valerie? Made sure I knew where the three of them were. And then I was like, okay, everyone else, like, those are my priority. Now let's just make sure that we get. It was crazy, man.
Well, and the more interesting part, like, if it was fireworks, you would see like people run, and then the mass hysteria would stop because people are trying to calm other people down. They there would be like, no, it's just fireworks. Police are trying to wrangle people in from running to scare other people. No, this was just everybody flat out running, booking it to the other end of the park. And like Johnny pointed out I was wearing flip-flops yesterday, and I just feel like absolutely stupid. I feel absolutely stupid for some of the decisions that I made.
Well, no one thinks that's going to happen to them, right? Yeah. So, yeah. Any of the viewers, let me just add on that. Keep where you're at. I don't want you to lose where you're at. Just, like, my point was, like, whenever you go to any major event, this could be a nightclub, this could be anywhere you go. Think about, like, the world, and I hate to say that, the world we live in, an active shooting situation or a stabbing or something like that can happen. You got to run. We've seen it 100 times doing security where people are losing their shoes, getting their feet cut, getting stepped on. It can make you slip and fall. So always wear good shoes when you're out in public in crowds.
Yeah, the only fortunate situation is that my sandals actually do have a back strap, so they wouldn't have fallen off my feet. But I do get your point, and Let me tell you, we were not even 3 minutes into the festival on our way to drop off our stuff and to get our tickets to go get our free food as volunteers, and I got stepped on. And I'm like, joking with Jamie last night, I'm like, and I thought the worst part of my day was getting stepped on. Like, it was.
Right. Little did you know it was going to be horrible.
Little did I know. But the panic ensued, and I'm holding on to this woman who's almost in tears because she doesn't know where her son is. She's like, I'm Gloria, by the way. And I'm like, I'm Valerie. I'm here with you. We're fine. We're safe. We have communication. That was honestly the one thing that kept me the most calm, was the fact that his mom and his brother had walkies for the festival. So his mom switched to the emergency channel. His brother stayed on the beer channel. And, they were getting communication from all over the place. He had his scanner on. And I honestly think that's what kept me the most calm, is the fact that we had more information than the people that were panicking. And that, I think, is what ensued more panic, is that they didn't know what was going on.
It's complete chaos, right?
And people were looking to us for information.
And they don't know what direction it's coming from, the threat, either.
Yeah. How many people are dead? Do you know if anyone died? Do you know how many people are injured? Do you know if he's still alive? Do you know where he is? And it's like, all these people running. I'm like, stay here. We know we're safe here. We've been told to stay and hide. And, if you want to walk, I can't stop you. But just walk. Don't run. Don't freak anyone out. But I convinced a mom and a daughter to stay with us because she had this look of panic trailing her little daughter behind her. And she ended up staying with us until the point where they did finally evacuate us to the amphitheater.
Okay, trying to keep a little bit of a timeline on here. So you and Jamie right now at current storytelling time right now, you guys are about in the same part, right? Okay, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I want to ask Chris, now what was going on around this time with you?
So I was at home. I decided not to go this year to the Garlic Festival. I didn't go any of the 3 days. I even DJ'd a party on Saturday. And
for the fest, right?
For the fest, like it was a pregame party
outside.
Like everybody got together. We had a really good time. I was with a bunch of friends, that I grew up with, and they had a really good time. I went home. I was just like, you know what? It's just way too hot for me this year. I'm gonna just go home and relax, because I wound up going back to that party later on, and we finished out the night there. So fast forward to Sunday. My wife was getting baptized, so I went with her to church, and she got baptized, and we ate after, and we were just in really good spirits, and get home, and we were just chilling, and then around, I don't know, 5:30 or so, my nephew sends me a Twitter stream, and it's showing like what's going on, so I immediately jump up. And I turn on the news, and I'm watching the news. And as I'm watching the news, I'm posting on Facebook, letting people know, trying to let people know what's going on. Also, at the same time, I'm reaching out to friends. One of my friends was in one of the cook-offs this year, and he was like the first person I called. I wanted to make sure that he was okay. I called him. He was home. I posted a few more things, like, there's an active shooter going on, be careful out there. And another friend immediately, like, calls me, saying that her daughter was missing. So, not that she was missing, she couldn't get a hold of her.
Right.
And like, when you hear that, like for me, it's like, okay, this person calls me, it's time for me to take action. Like I didn't hesitate. I jumped up. I immediately started calling. I got a hold of one of my other friends who has some like kind of like behind the scenes, like, media access and police access. So I was talking to her. We were kind of relaying what was going on. At this time, like you see on the news, like video clips of people running. There's no real information coming out at the time. I know you guys had a scanner, so you guys were getting real-time information.
Yeah.
Where I was sitting at home watching this whole thing unfold, and there was no real information coming out. Like, we didn't start getting information until almost like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so what was crazy for me and Bo, we were here, and we were both relaying this information to all of our security buddies and all our close friends, and Jamie, too, a little bit. And he was hearing a lot about it, so I assumed, because he did tell me he had your scanner on for a while, so I knew you had some of that information. But we were relaying that, and what me and Bo were experiencing was not knowing where all our friends were, but then on top of that, actually listening to the police actively pursue a hole in the fence and push out into the creek. And anyone that lives in this area knows it's a pretty good sized creek.
Yeah,
Right.
And they were trying to narrow it down. We heard them find magazines for a rifle and a backpack, and we were hearing all this going down while other people. And I'm going to touch on this before we continue in the whole rest of the story. But we started seeing people immediately posting nonsense on social media.
Yeah, I saw a
and
lot
it was
of that,
infuriating
man.
Bo
Yeah.
and me.
I
we're
was
like, this is
pissed.
not even true at all.
Right.
Like, this is completely not
Like
what
you-
we're hearing.
You see all the troll posts like
Yeah, and I'm not even
immediately.
talking about that,
Yeah.
even though. There was
Yeah.
troll,
Well,
but
there
I'm
was-
saying even just misinformation because,
Yeah,
like,
there was
you would
tons.
talk to someone and they would just say, "Hey, I heard this
Right.
from someone,
Right.
therefore I'm repeating."
Yeah,
it.
I was
Like-
trying
Yeah.
not to
Oh,
have
yeah,
any
yeah.
of that on my any of my posts. Like don't talk about it. Let's not.
And we're talking. Me and
Speculate.
Bo were seeing
Yeah.
this within 30 minutes of this
Yeah,
shit
no,
going
I
down.
mean, they were posting like there was a cop shot, there was 20 people,
A house was all shot
20
up. There was a bunch of
fatalities,
nonsense.
bunch of bullshit, and that's not even including those troll posts.
Right.
Well,
Well,
that I had to keep telling people to take that shit down.
yeah,
because
you
it's
did.
not
He did
true.
have a couple people actually
Right.
listen
because
to.
it was
Yeah.
irritating me and pissing me off because it's like, do your fucking research. Like,
Right.
look this shit up. Like, I saw one of the troll posts. My immediate reaction, I went on Facebook. I searched the guy's name and I saw an article saying, "Oh no, they blame this guy."
He
for
did
every,
2 seconds of
Right.
research and knew it was
every
fake.
Right.
mass shooting because they think it's funny.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is-
so-
I mean, everybody just wants somebody immediately to blame, or we want access to information immediately.
Right.
Where this thing is unfolding, and not even the police know the whole information.
No, they did not.
You know?
And that was the thing when people were putting that information out. I'm like, we're listening to Scanner, and they're saying there's 1 to 2 other possible shooters
Right.
that they're actively looking for, and everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, the guy's dead," and all this stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, well, let's just wait and see what happens. And that happens in those kind of incidents where other information gets out.
I even seen people posting that one of the shooters was going door to door, and anybody
Yeah, I
who
heard
opened the
that
door,
nonsense.
it was
Yeah,
just
so that's
just so shitty.
So just to address the chat really quick, Bianca, Joel, thank you guys so much for chatting. Phil, we got and Jason and Corey, of course, Chelsea. I'm just
And
gonna,
thank
I'm
you,
just gonna
Steven,
s-
for
yeah,
the
I'm just gonna
donation.
Say everyone's names. Yeah, Steven, thanks again, man.
Yeah,
Joel,
thank
what
you
up,
guys.
Joel?
Sweet. Yeah, so that's they're talking about that right here, where there's a rumor that they're going door to door and just blasting people and all that sort of shit. And it's all we're getting at is it's amazing that how quickly the misinformation spreads. The first, and I even posted this to a group of friends. It was the first shot of like the supposed shooter, and it was a white guy in a Trump shirt.
Yeah.
Like, so they're just like, oh, like, so there it is, like. The
Yeah.
Democrats are trying to like say
Right.
this is your people, you know what I mean?
and not one of
That's
us are
social
Trump
engineering.
supporters, just so you guys
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
just
Not one
in
of
case
us.
you've never watched the show
Yeah.
before, Donald Trump can go fuck himself.
So,
But I mean, like, just because we don't support one or the other
all
doesn't mean
politicians
that we
can go
support
fuck themselves.
any of it, right?
So
Easy, Tiger.
So one of the interesting
if you don't know me by now,
You don't know. Yeah. Go ahead, Val.
one of the interesting things, so as I was sitting there consoling the woman that couldn't find her son, I called my mom, and all I said was, whatever you hear, whatever you see, I'm okay. And she was like, okay. And I was like, there's a possible active shooter. Like, we didn't even know at that point if it was true or not. And I was like, there's a possible active shooter. Garlic Fest, we're here. Jamie and I are safe. Everyone that I know is safe so far. Like, just whatever you see, whatever you hear. And I talked to her later in the night, and she said, I mean, I turned on the news, and it was maybe a minute after you called me that they put it on the news. Like, the fact that we spread so much throughout social media these days, and the fact that people falsify things just because they think it's funny. And it's like, this isn't that situation. You should not be doing that. You should not be spreading fake news and doing that. And like, because there are people out there looking for their families and are in
Right.
extreme distress.
Well,
and
like
then
my
to
friend-
hear that, it's
my
just-
friend's
Yeah.
daughter, I mean, she was like, she called me crying, like
Yeah.
it's not a time to use social media as a way to entertain yourself, man. To me that was insane, and it was heartbreaking at the same time, seeing all this stuff going on, and knowing that I still had family inside the
fest.
inside the festival. My sister was had to hide in a ditch.
Yeah.
Dude, that like frightened me when I heard that. Not only that, but I mean, there was a vendor that I know that was there who were basically eye to eye with the shooter.
Wow.
Yeah, and they saw the so let me tell this story real quick.
Yeah.
Let me cut in here. So, one of the vendor's employees went to the bathroom, or went to the porta potties, and as she was coming out of the porta potties, she sees this guy with a rifle, and she watches him open fire. She ducks back into the porta potty, like there's a pause. He was reloading, and as he's reloading, she runs back to the vendor's tent, and the guy starts opening fire again. They all start ducking to try to get out of line of sight, and right then the cops like rush the guy and just open fire on him and just kill him basically right in front of him. They got put on a bus. Well, they were there till 10 o'clock, and then they got put on a bus that took them over to the Gilroy High School where the cops were
the command center.
Yeah, the command center. Yeah. So I'm assuming they were going to get questions or
yeah,
whatever.
any of the ones that stayed later, they were the ones that were like witnesses.
I mean, the vendor had his 10-year-old son there with him too. It was like shocking. Like I'm communicating with him, and he's telling me like what's going on. Like he gave me like this play-by-play, and it was just like horrific. Like I couldn't even believe that we were having this conversation. It was so like surreal, like out of context of the Garlic Festival.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, the amount of police chatter that we heard and the communication that we had through all the surrounding law enforcement agencies that came down to help us, it was absolutely fantastic. So the couple of guys I know in the chat, Kurt and Phil, will know what I'm talking about. I know because Phil and I took law enforcement together in high school. But they set up, so the FOB or the command center for the SWAT insertion was at Gilroy High School, and that was like their main base. And then they had the evac site up at Los Animas, which is just on the other, basically in line of sight between Gilroy High, the park, and then the parking lot for the school. So they had us evac out on top, and they had the command center down on the bottom, so they can insert from there. And that was the.
And for the people that don't know that area, we were talking about this last night. It is a pretty good little hike there. It's a short distance, but you're talking a little hilly. You know, there's like hills and stuff. Yeah. So when I found out with the way he went out, like I was kind of tripping. You want to pull the picture up when?
Yeah, this is the picture of us
when they actually got to go out.
Leaving.
Did you have any things else leading up to this picture before you actually put it on?
Yeah, this one
go
I
ahead
do.
And tell
I
it, maybe.
One. Yeah, so let's do. So this picture here is a picture of. I can never remember which monitor I'm supposed to put it on. I'm supposed to put it on that one, huh?
No. So that if you pull that over here, then you put it on there, it won't do our like falling away.
That gotta do it like over here on this one. I got it. So it does have to go on this one. All right. So this is a picture that I took. This is after the sheriff department. It looks like their SWAT team. I'm assuming the sheriff department SWAT team came over to the area that we were all evacuated to, which is back by the amphitheater.
Yeah.
All right. Now, so you guys see that group of people in the blue right here?
Yes.
They're wearing like Hawaiian shirts or something.
Right.
Now, as soon as the SWAT team goes from this point and they walked all the way over to basically outside line of sight on the other side of the stage, these guys got all stacked up on the side of the thing right here.
Right.
On the path. And then they all started running towards me, towards the camera. And then everyone on that side started to panic and everyone started rushing out of there. And this is the area that we got evacuated to. Now, I go over, I get behind a tree and a golf cart, and then I got my little brother there. My mom is there. Valerie eventually gets over there, but like the people are just running past us. And it was for no reason.
Right.
The guy that was on the stage grabbed the microphone and was like, "It's okay, everybody. Go ahead and come back. The police are saying come back this way." There was nothing there. I don't know what the fuck, but that just goes to show like the panic and the stupidity of people in large groups. Mm-hmm. One person points and runs, and then everyone is fucking running.
Yeah, and I'll point out real quick, too, like if you guys ever find yourself in any kind of situation like this, always hug the wall. Always stay on the outside because you're going to get trampled if you're on the inside.
That was one of the moments that Jamie and I talked about that I could, pray to God this never happens again, but he was like, just go with the flow of people, because my instinct, when all these people were running towards me, that golf cart was there, it was against a tree, and my instinct was, get out of the way of the trampling stampede. And he's like, come over here. And I went I went around the golf cart the wrong way. He was like, if you just come with the trample, I would have grabbed you out. Mm-hmm. But it was just, I explained my thought process to him later. He understood where my mind was, but he was like, here's what you can do to improve upon where your mind goes in that. Like,
yeah, hug the wall, especially if it's shooting, and then look for cover and concealment, both. And, that's the only thing you can do in that situation.
It was insane. And then after that, like,
so that's when they started walking you up that.
Yeah,
can you pull that picture back up real quick?
It wasn't up the amphitheater.
Oh, it was out the back.
It was like, you remember where the bike jumps used to be?
Yes.
Went out that way.
Yeah. Oh, you have a picture of that too.
Yeah. Got it right here. So it's going to bing again because we're in the picture thing. But So that's my buddy Dale and his cousin in front of us there, my little brother, my mom, and then the rest of the crowd in front of us as we're walking out. I made sure to stand behind everyone in our group just because that's rear security. That's the kind of guy that I am. I'd rather have everyone in front of me where I can see them, than worry about where they are. So everyone's in front of me here.
You got to do, man. You got to make sure you know where they're at, everyone.
Yeah. And so then, we just walked out of this thing all calm, and it was starting to get lighthearted. We had people we were in the volunteer area, so we had a lot of drinks, like flats of Gatorade and soda and water and stuff like that. And so what we did is we loaded everything up onto a well, not we, like they. I didn't do it. They loaded it all up onto a cart, and they basically trucked the cart along that trail and then up into the parking lot, so that everyone that was out there had hydration and could stay.
And the lighthearted part of that, the guy that was pushing the cart, there was 3 guys, one guy pulling, and then the 2 guys pushing because it was a fairly steep hill. They're coming through, and they're trying to be lighthearted to make everyone feel more secure, and they're trying to make people laugh. And he's like, "Think of the drinks, people!" Trying to it made everybody giggle a little bit,
calm down for a second,
a little bit. It's not a funny situation, but just getting that little bit of humor on something that you can focus on, that little happy moment, just to get you through to the next step. These people know that everyone's terrified, and
right.
They're trying their best to calm everyone down.
And you don't know if the situation is still going on, if there's still a shooter running through the park somewhere and they can't find him. So I mean, to just have a little reprieve from that that terrifying feeling must have felt.
Yeah, and what also was crazy too is after everyone was. Even the press conference and all that, and people were saying, "Oh, it's all chill and all that." Well, there were still helicopters running, and there were still SWAT teams searching, and detectives and everything, and they still didn't have the other. If there is another, they still didn't have that under, and they still don't to this date right now.
Right.
So that's still active going. So you guys, everyone needed to remember that it's still ongoing.
And I live 3 blocks from the park. I mean, if the shooter decided to go back through where he went. Where he broke into the perimeter and got on the levee, it would have been another block, and he would have been in my apartment complex.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how close
I even told Bo when we were talking about, that if you were just walking, you could have walked there and back. By the time before, I think it was 3 hours in, I was you could have walked there and back already.
Oh yeah,
just to give you an estimate of time, how
that's
far
just
you are
walking.
away.
That's not even running at a stride either. The thing actually from watching some of those videos that amazed me is you see people running with their drinks in their hands. I'm like, are you fucking
I know,
kidding
it's crazy.
me?
Yeah.
People don't think.
Drop your shit and run. Your drink ain't that important.
The amount of people that were drinking when we were in the little back alleyway, it was kind of. There was a guy, because I was the one pouring beer. I had the shirt on, everything. There's an old guy out there. He lights up a cigarette and it's I want a beer.
I joked that I'm surprised Jamie didn't go back and sit there and start drinking.
I can see Jamie hiding in the corner.
If it wasn't for all the people that you were with.
I wanted to keep a clear head.
Smart,
you did,
right?
trust me, I wanted to. I almost did go back in and just fucking real quick. Gives a fuck, But no, I didn't.
The guy that we were volunteering with, he told me when we finally got to the evacuation, the Los Animas school, he was like, "Yeah, I just kept pouring beer. People wanted beer."
Yeah, that guy was pretty cool.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and then your mom finally had to tell him no, we've been told to cut it off. And
Yeah,
she's
you cut off, bro.
I don't know why. I could go for a beer right now.
Right.
It was. I mean, it just.
That's where the beer should have been, at the rally point where they're all going.
Oh,
Yeah,
college.
where it was all calm and cool again, right? Yeah. How many years have you volunteered, Jamie?
Oh God. No, well, more for me. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
It's probably the better part of a decade, I'd say.
Yeah, me too. I think I did around 17 years. I think I volunteered, and it was the same job. I wouldn't have been if I would have volunteered this year. I wouldn't have been too far from the shooter. I was actually at the top of the hill coming in, but I would have been able to see everything from up there. It's insane that today at work, I was thinking about this all day long, what I could have done. Why didn't I volunteer this year? It was it's a big deal on my heart right now. This happened in my hometown to my people.
People you're making it personal
to
right?
our people, and the guys at work were just joking and laughing and carrying on with their lives. Like, they have no idea. Like, you see people on Facebook, or you see, like, social media, like having empathy or sympathy for you, but they don't really know the feeling of feeling like helpless, like that helplessness that comes from somebody shooting at your friends and family.
Yeah.
That's like I was completely worried, sick about my friends and my sister and like everything that was going on, that I was just trying to help whoever I could.
Did you have other people calling other than the one that was crying too?
Oh, yeah. There was, I had oh man, I must have had at least 10 or 15 people calling me, asking me what was going on, because nobody was getting any information. And because I was like at home watching the news, people were like on social media, like watching me post and tell everybody what's going on. And so I was getting phone calls too, and they were like, "Hey, is the situation still active? What's going on?" My buddy who's a vendor, he was completely out of the information stream.
Yeah,
like
he's out of the loop.
Yeah, he didn't know anything. He's sitting on a bus, like going like a quarter of a mile for like
That's
6 hours.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, they were just sitting on the bus for the longest time. And so I was trying to give him as much information as I could. At the same time, I'm reaching out to all my friends, making sure that they're okay. People are calling me to check in to make sure that they were, to tell me not to worry. Like I've never been in a situation before, like no natural disaster. Like, I've been in earthquakes and stuff like that and never got this much information stream, been part of the information stream. But I mean, with this, it was completely different. Like, people were worried about each other. Like, it's not like, like an earthquake, you get rattled and people like post, haha, there was an earthquake or whatever. But this was different. This was completely different.
We had friends that didn't even go to the festival that were just asking friends to comment that they were safe. Like, they,
Right.
I'm safe. That's like, they just posted like friends comment. Like, they didn't want to reach out because the phone lines just got so slammed. Like, there was sometimes I couldn't make a call.
Right.
My text messages didn't go through, and this was after we already had gotten out. Like,
well, which is already normal for Garlic Festival anyway,
Yeah.
because of the amount of people that are there. The towers get overloaded.
Yeah.
But I mean, this situation could have been so much worse.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
well,
like it
Before you get into that,
go
what
ahead.
I wanted to talk about too, you're talking about like just logistics and like location of where you would have been and that sort of thing. Val, why don't you go ahead and tell them about how the location of the tent that we volunteered at moved?
It was something that dawned on me this morning, and I turned to Jamie and I was like, do you realize that if the Hub and Pub hadn't moved, we would have been right in front of it? Like, because the Hub and Pub where it was last year and where it's been years prior is, you can, like, from the opening of it, you can see the stage that he was shooting from.
right.
Now we were just on the other side, back in this cove against the hill, and
The other side of the park.
other side of the, and it was just like, oh my god, like, how freaking crazy is that they decide to move it and we weren't there? Like, I was planning on being on that side of the thing the entire time. We get there, we find out it's moved, and really cool location for it. We were like stoked about moving it.
The incident happened on the side by the horse stables, correct?
Yes.
Right, the ranch side.
And
the field side.
We were just on the other side, into the park side. Like, you could see Miller Road from where we were. And
Still very close. So I'm
Yeah.
just so people that know the area can get a picture.
yeah, I mean, we were back towards the wall of the hill side. On, like, you could see Miller Road from, if you stood back in the entrance, you could see it, or the, like, behind the scenes area. And I just turned to him, I'm like, we were so lucky that it was changed this year. Like, it just, I mean, I can't even imagine where my mental state could be right now if we were on the ranch side and staring at that stage from
A
where the
whole
Hub and
nother
Pub was.
thing,
It
yeah.
was a whole
Yeah,
other thing.
yeah.
Like, and
Jamie, you pulling up something here?
Yeah, I'm
actually-
pulling up the map of the Garlic Festival
There you
for
go.
this year.
And we actually had a buddy that I was trying to connect with because I hadn't seen him in a while, and he had his kids with him, and
Oh
he was
my
actually
God.
at the barbecue cook-off
Mhm.
area, which is
Right.
this up now? No.
It will be.
I'm gonna put it up right now.
So there's a little in the picture that comes up. There's a little barn, and then there's a little barbecue right above it. He was in that area, and I mean, he would have been 50, 60 feet from the shooter, and that dawned on me this
So
morning.
circle, Jamie, where the shooting was, roughly right in that area.
Okay, so this is Miller or 10th Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
That's where everyone's coming in.
This is
Right.
the creek. Okay,
Yeah, so up top where the bikes are, that would be where I normally
it was
am.
it was on this side that
Yes.
we know.
Right.
Of, okay,
It was next to the vineyard stage.
So right of the vineyard stage, between the stage
Right there.
and the
yeah.
so that's where it went down. Like right back there where the
See.
porta potties are. There's
Yeah.
the red dot.
So the normal area that we volunteer at is right
there.
here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This area. You look out and you can see the barn. If
Right.
you go out one side, and you can see the stage if you go out the other side. It's like right here in this area. Now, this year, our volunteer station was over here.
Nice. Yeah.
So I could see along, there's a trail here. I could
Mhm.
see this road right here, and that's what I was making sure to
That's
keep line of
Miller,
sight of.
yeah.
That's Miller. And we all evacuated out this way. Here's the amphitheater. We went past the amphitheater and then off the scene. Yep, off down that
Right.
way.
Yeah, when I saw that picture you sent me, that was the first one when you guys were actually walking out. I was like, I know exactly where you are, and I know you're on the opposite side of where everything's going on. I felt a lot better then.
Wow.
Even
Sorry.
in a tragedy, it doesn't get
Sorry.
old.
Yeah, sorry.
We're idiots. Sorry. All right. So then, as you guys were getting evac, this is for Jamie, obviously, and Val. When you guys were getting evac out, what was going on? Why you guys now were walking? Other than obviously Jamie wanted to keep people in front of him. Like at that point, that's where we left off.
So like for me at that point, it was pretty much we were home free, but I was trying to not get too excited about that. Kind of keep my head in the game and realize that I still got to remain alert and act if I need to. So we made sure everyone was in front of me. We're all walking out, and it was all good vibes for the most part. We got up to the top. We ended up calling my dad, and he came and picked us up. Buddy Dale and his cousin's girlfriend, they ended up just walking home. We passed them as we were leaving in a vehicle, and
We just didn't have room for them. We would have
Yeah.
taken them, but
yeah,
Freedom pup.
I honestly didn't have any kind of sensation of relief until we got back to your parents' house. Like even in the car, like it just. I mean, you're walking up that road. You've heard rumors of him being in camo, and then someone talks about how camo like looks good. You know, you can't see him in the
Right.
forest, and then you start running through your brain, and like you're still obviously on high alert about everything, and like Jamie's walking with me and asking if I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm
Yeah,
waiting
Phil.
for it to fall off, like the shock to fall off, me to break down, and the moment that actually almost happened was when my boss texted me. The fact that it had reached LA already.
Oh
and
yeah.
he was on a flight and everybody was talking on the flight, and he texted me and like said, thankfully I took today off regardless, but he was like, if you need tomorrow off, I totally understand. And that was the moment that I almost broke down and I like reeled it back in. But I mean, it was just
Hold it together.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was just kind of like I need to hold it together. If I
Right.
get tears in my eyes, I don't have visibility. I don't have that.
Right.
It was.
You gotta stay focused
yeah.
on the moment. Yeah.
So that was.
Yeah,
fun.
and we were here. Me and Bo were hearing during this whole time. We were hearing how anyone. There was even a guy with just a camouflage scarf. Anybody, they were going after the cops because they had to follow up every lead.
to tell you they patted me down.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, tell that story. 'Cause
Yeah, so they
camo shorts, right?
Yeah, we were walking out, and so when you get in the okay, the long and short of it is, I had my pocket knife in my pocket, right? Now you can see the clip hanging off my pants there, because normally when I had it in the festival, I keep it in my pocket just so nobody knows that I have it, because I don't want to scare anybody. Whatever, I'm not. It's there to open fucking boxes.
You're
Like,
so
calm the fuck
scary,
down,
Jamie.
right? And when all this stuff sort of went down, I took it out of my pocket and clipped it to my pants on the inside just so that I could have easy access to it if I needed it. I understand gun versus knife, not a great situation, but if I found myself in a situation where I could use it to my advantage, I was going to do it. Now, I'm walking past, and one of the officers, he's got his gun drawn, and he's got it pressed up against his chest, aiming at the ground, and he goes, hey, come over here for a second, bud. Just go and keep your hands where they are. Just keep your hands. Don't move them. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead and just take it, man. Like, I know I got my knife on me, and he just patted me around my waistband, and he's like, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, to make sure no firearm. And
Yeah.
then it dawned on you
Yep.
that the shooters were in camouflage. Yeah.
And I was
Or
wearing
alleged shooters.
I was wearing black and gray camouflage shorts with my white volunteer shirt. You know what I mean? Like, it was a t-shirt. Like, I'm with the crowd. I don't know. Anyway, he was just
They
doing
just want
his
to make
job.
sure you could always grab a shirt.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true. He was
even
doing his job.
Me and Johnny actually were hearing them evacuating people out of the creek area. I mean,
it's a long creek all the way to Santa
that
Teresa.
It was crazy. I mean,
Oh, here's a little thing. Let's bring up real quick, Bo, because me and him were getting really pissed off about this. Is as it was going down, they were getting reports of gunshots going on, and then they turned out to be fireworks.
Yeah,
so idiots were launching fireworks and stuff in the creek area when this is going on.
We
heard this going down live
in the creek.
Two separate incidents that I can recall.
Like I know there was reports. Fifth Street there was activity on Fifth Street, but that wound up being fake too.
It's all fake news.
It was bullshit.
But this was actually on the scanners going down,
really?
and they were all shots fired.
This is what I'm seeing.
And then
on
we
social
found out
media
that it was all fireworks and shit.
Yeah, we literally heard them on the radio saying possible shots fired. You know.
Yeah.
Then we did hear them say that it was fireworks, but it's like, how stupid do you have to fucking be, and how disrespectful do you have to be lighting fireworks off during an active shooter situation? Where the time
maybe
that
they
these
didn't have the
cops could
information
been,
or whatever,
maybe.
but still, I mean,
that takes away time that they could have been searching for this possible second shooter,
right?
Not fucking having to follow up leads because dumbasses want to light up fireworks.
Yep.
You know, social media is like the double-edged sword. You know, I love the fact that I was able to contact so many friends so quickly and get a response back, versus telephone or going out and looking for people. But at the same time, we have like situations like that where people are putting out that misinformation or speculating, and those speculations quickly turn into pseudo fact,
like false accusations.
On what he's talking about. So with me and Bo, I can say almost 100%. We were like almost 100% dealing with only Messenger and text messages and phone calls. Anything that was going on the web shit end of it, like actual social media sites wise, we weren't like listening to that because all that information was 99% of it fake.
Right.
I mean, I had Google up on the computer. I kept refreshing, checking the news.
Let's just put it this way for the freedom fighters at home: this command bunker was fully operational and giving intel. It was. We had it all powered up, and we were sharing information. We had the garage up. We were sharing information.
Like the dude version of Oracle.
We were sharing information with all the neighbors around, too. All the neighbors were coming over here, and we were relaying the information.
When we finally got back here, I've never felt more safe. Because, let me tell you.
It's a command bunker.
Command bunker.
Command bunker, guys. Come on now. You know what's going on in your mind.
It was definitely a big sigh of relief. Like, at your parents' house, yes, I know that things are available, but...
Oh, I strapped up immediately when I got home. Pajama pants and an AR.
Oh, yeah. It was good shit. It was good shit. All right, so real quick. So let's pick up on we're still on the evac. You guys are now walking out. So what goes on there when you guys get to wherever you had to rally at or whatever?
So what they had done was they had labeled people with colors, and because they're racist, and so like you had like a blue group, a yellow group, green group, whatever, and those are for the volunteers.
And
were you
brown, Jamie?
I was an other. We got.
Oh wow!
Wow!
Yeah.
You're the other.
What do you mean, you people?
We went ahead and private contracted a ride out. My dad came in, and
I guess white's not a color. Is that what it is?
It's a shade.
It doesn't show up on the spectrum.
No, so we got my old man to come in. He exfilled us from there, and we didn't have to worry about the buses or any of that shit.
Good. You guys got out of that nightmare.
Yeah, the buses were for the parking lots, the different color parking lots that they had, and then unfortunately, there's all the vendors and the volunteers where 90% of them park in the lot that's by the baseball field. Phil was talking about earlier that the triage center was at that location too, and then they were, there's a ton of vendors, including, his mom's car is still at the park, and they aren't releasing anything inside the park. That baseball field parking lot, the overflow parking, that's been like people have gotten their cars this morning. But
what time was that?
This morning.
No. When you guys finally got to the evacuation.
It was probably close to like 8.
No, it was like 7 because I think we got home. I think we got to your parents' house at like 7:45, so we probably got to the evac place between 7:50 and 7:30. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we were waiting.
And Jamie was good. He was giving us updates. Like I would say every 30 minutes we were getting an update from you.
Yeah.
Well, and that was just you. I was trying to update
simple.
hella other people.
Yeah,
too.
it was simple, but it was good. It was to the point.
Well, it's a good thing you had a good charge on your phone, man.
Yeah.
Power banks.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, see
Plugged in.
that's a
Brought my
Yeah.
external battery.
freedom fighters know about power banks.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. All right. So then then I got the message
You gotta
saying
be
that he was
prepared, man.
safe, and then it was like as soon as I got that message that you're at your folks' home, I was like, okay, completely relieved. And I got at that point, right before that point, actually, all our close friends, all of our podcast people, and our other friends were all accounted for and stuff like that.
Right.
And now I'm sure some of you guys got some calls even today and this morning and maybe
I did.
late
I got
last
some
night
text messages.
about other people that were involved in that. We're not going to
Right.
talk about anyone's names or none of that, but I found out even as recently as a couple hours ago of people that know people that had different situations. They were telling me those stories.
Right.
I just wanted to bring that up, that still people are finding out about that. And what was crazy too is also seeing like some of the pictures that like some of your friends are sharing with you and stuff, and actually seeing some people you know that were either injured or involved in it, or not involved in it, but running away from it and all that. So I've seen a few people I know, and I was like shocked.
Yeah.
Bianca,
The
that's
news-
awesome. Hang on really quick.
Go ahead.
Bianca's going to the vigil at City Hall right now. Yeah, I mean, just if you could snap us some photos or something and send them to me on Facebook, I'll put them up on the live stream here.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of
Yeah.
cool to get a little bit of coverage.
Yeah, we can
of
do
that.
that, and if we're not live, we can do a little talk about it short on the actual podcast when we record it.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. It'd be really cool. Yeah, Bianca, if you're there and you don't mind sending me some photos of that, please do, and then we'll use them on the show here.
Oh God, we have a new viewer. Oh God, it's like Guy Fieri and Fidel Castro had a love child.
Well, be nice to him. We need
Love
these
you,
viewers.
John.
We need these viewers.
Oh, on the chat you're talking
Oh.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what up, John?
Awesome.
I was like, who are you
John.
talking about? Now I see it
Yeah.
right now. Yeah,
My favorite white Mexican.
it's my buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so now that Bo made it awkward and weird, is what he usually does.
I guess
Like
he's the wild
So
card.
yeah, I was just also so
Way
now,
to go, Bo!
Right now, let's go to it. We have a little list here. So,
Yeah.
what about Jamie? Because you and Val, you guys were there on the ground, and we already talked about this, like from outside, seeing and hearing the emergency services for 3 hours straight, like hard,
Right.
like just crazy response. How was it with you guys seeing that response come into the park and all that stuff?
So when we finally saw law enforcement, it was a surprising amount of time had passed. Like it was probably, I don't know, 45 minutes before I saw a police officer.
Wow.
Yeah,
From
before
where we
did it,
were?
yeah,
Right.
before
Well,
we
yeah,
were.
because you once again, you guys saw the map. You
Mhm.
were on the other side of the event at that, especially by the time you fell back.
Yep.
We heard the sirens flying in, all like it was nonstop, and then you just kind of put it out of your mind, and then Jamie
Yeah, you kind of
heard
get
that-
used to it, right?
Yeah, and then Jamie heard that there was birds in the air, and we were sitting there waiting until the bird came in the air. Like he said, they're calling 2 CalStar and 1 to search, and that moment felt like forever, just waiting to hear that chopper in the air, and then we finally hear one. I see it. It's the CalStar comes down, goes up. CalStar comes down, goes up, and then I don't ever remember seeing the search one, and maybe it's just because I blocked it out of my
Right.
mind. I don't know in that craziness.
So
but-
when we were on the scanners and stuff, they weren't law enforcement air wasn't really in there for a couple. It was like almost 2 hours.
Yeah, they were waiting to evacuate 2 people.
A lot of it was all medical.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 people got evacuated to Stanford Hospital. The other 2, I'm watching the news at this time, so and then 2 other people got evacuated to regional.
So yeah, we
Yeah.
had that Stanford Valley Medical and San Jose Regional, because we actually heard that over the scanner.
Right.
That
They
there
did
was,
like a check
they-
on who's
yeah.
getting evac.
And we even heard them actually doing roll call.
Yeah, they so we were listening to Gilroy PD, and then they all switched over to Sheriff's Department, and they're like the officer called in and he goes, I know this is going to be a pain in the ass, but let's do a roll call because we need to know where everyone's at, who's with who. And at the very end of the roll call, it took a while. It took about half an hour to get that roll call
Yeah.
done. There was still like 7 officers unknown where they were. And that was when the social media was still saying that an officer was shot and all that bullshit, which
a
was
bunch
fake.
of
Yeah.
bullshit going
Yeah.
on.
And
yeah,
so
I
we
mean,
were just like all like listening intent, like just like, oh my God, what the hell's going on?
I mean, that just puts into perspective how much law enforcement they had, that they actually had to do a half-hour roll call.
Roll call, yeah. So hey, real quick, I just want to adjust the chat again here. So Phil is saying that apparently the guy's house, we did hear of this early this morning, where he lives. It's a cul-de-sac that goes 2 different directions off of a main street. He lives on the opposite end of the cul-de-sac that the shooter lived at, down the street. Now, Bianca, if you're still watching, the shooter apparently lived on the side that your mom used to live at, the same side of that street. So it's crazy how small this town is. We have people in our chat right now that lived not even a quarter mile away from them, and then also other people in our chat where their family members used to live.
Right, and
probably neighbors,
everyone knew someone there and was
Yep.
there. You know what I mean?
Well, and at the press conference today, they wouldn't release that information. I'm sure Phil saw it because he's right there. They were asking, do you know where he lives? Do you know what his thing was? Do you know if he went to school, if he had a job, and this and that? And then they wouldn't answer because they didn't have that information, or at least so they say. And one of the last questions was, where was the car found? So I haven't heard anything about this car up until this point, aside from a picture. And
Yeah, there was right before we went on, there was a press conference, and they were talking a little bit about it, but we didn't get to catch it.
Yeah, but the car was found on Laurel Drive, which is back behind. It's probably about the 3rd Street roundabout that they put on Santa Teresa. It's in that neighborhood on the other side of Santa Teresa, not the golf course side. But they found the car that he used there.
That's basically like a block from where I live.
Well, actually, that's where me and Johnny thought if anything he was going to come out at, it was going to be on
Right.
the Santa Teresa side. Because me and Johnny we've parked over there and we've walked the levee, because you could follow that creek.
Yeah, the
all
Freedom
the
Pup
way
Rucker.
to-
I walked over there. I know that
Yeah,
whole area,
yeah.
and everyone that lives here knows that area very well.
Like I said, that's basically like a block from where I live. So if you go up the street and you hang a right, the levee starts right there, and it'll take you all the way down past the high school.
Yeah.
Backside of the high school to.
There's a lot for people that
To
don't
Chester,
know.
I believe.
There's a
Chester,
lot of
yeah.
houses in that area too.
Dude, there's so many houses. So the shooter could have easily just melted right back into, everyday life.
And that's why they were so concerned about a second or third shooter too, because
Well,
you could
they
just
even
blend in.
they found a jacket too. Actually,
well, this is what I was saying earlier. Is like, this thing could have been so much worse had there been multiple shooters at 1 o'clock during the day when most people are there.
Or on the
Actually, it
Saturday.
could've
Yeah,
been
on a
Saturday.
Saturday. I
Yep.
mean, if a couple guys got in with those 30-round clips, or magazines,
Box-fed magazine.
it would have been. I corrected myself.
Yeah,
I
we
know
know.
you did.
We were waiting for it.
30-round magazines. It could have been devastating. I mean, there probably was at least 20,000 people on Sunday. I mean, that's a very, very low estimate.
Well, and I was
You know?
talking to Val, and she told me that like Saturday they actually stayed open later than they normally do because of the concert. So it could have been
Right.
even worse with that because it was kind of, the Garlic Festival at the time it happened was kind of winding down.
Right.
You know,
It was at
so if it would've
5:30.
been like earlier
yeah.
or anything, it could have been way worse.
I mean, I know this guy wanted to inflict damage on people, but I think honestly he was trying to make some kind of weird statement.
Well,
It's neither here nor there. Who
Yeah.
cares about what he was trying to do?
Yet.
Yeah.
They said that even
But,
in this afternoon's press conference.
yeah.
But even crazier to think that, we watched the amphitheater get filled up and filled up. I've never seen that amphitheater
Right.
that packed. And to have, even Jamie was saying when we got evacuated there, we're just sitting ducks. We're in a group. If there really was another one. But imagine if that happened on Saturday. There's still people at the
Right.
festival. It was way less crowded trying to get out. That's why we waited until the concert started. But if you think that he came in as the concert was going and everyone was focused on that, shooting
Yeah,
ducks in a
it could have
barrel,
been
or fish in a barrel at that point. It's just insane to think about. It could have been so much worse.
Right. So 3 people were killed and up to 15 were hospitalized. I saw one of my son's friends who's a gamer with me. He told me that night or last night that his friend was one of the ones who was rushed to regional. But he was taken by ambulance. He wasn't.
So he wasn't critical.
Yeah. So he got shot in the leg, and this morning they posted pictures of him coming out of the hospital. So just to kind of confirm that that I was getting actual information from people.
Yeah. So to answer actually Chelsea's question, yeah. So there was an eyewitness, I believe, that did say that he said he was doing this because he was mad. This kid.
It doesn't matter, man.
It really
Honestly,
doesn't matter why.
for me,
I've read
yeah.
enough, but I'm not naming his name.
Like,
We're not posting his picture.
like for
Fuck
me, it's
that.
just
He's not
like
getting attention.
there's nothing that's gonna make this any kind of easier for me.
No.
Yeah, it's,
Makes sense of it type thing.
Yeah. There's nothing that he's gonna say. There's not gonna be any justification. There's not gonna be any sympathy or empathy towards this guy because he was displaced or didn't feel accepted or anything like that.
That's total
There's no
bullshit. That's
excuse,
total
right?
There's
bullshit.
absolutely no
There's
It's
no
excuse.
just pure evil.
Like
Yeah.
all day long I was contemplating like there was that statement like, why are you doing this? It's because I'm mad. Like no matter
Okay.
how mad I've ever been in my life, I've never had the thought that I'm going to go and kill people.
Do some stupid.
Yeah.
You know,
shit.
and this is a
Like I've
product
been
of-
pissed and gotten into fights, you know. I mean, who hasn't, you know? But to go to consciously make the decision that I'm gonna go and kill people because I am mad, that doesn't to me in my mind, I cannot make it
That's
a big
because you're
enough
rational.
a big enough
Yeah.
justification to harm people who are defenseless.
Well, to put this in perspective, I was bullied all throughout junior high and high school.
Still
Never once did I think about I'm
Right.
gonna go get a gun and shoot up a school or shoot up
Right.
a festival.
So
That's not how this works.
So
you know?
now a big thing I wanted to ask Val, and actually you would be good too because you've been there a bunch of times, and Jamie, is about the security. So because that's like something that they were kind of trying to downplay and say that it wasn't as good as it could be and all that. But I've seen it and it looks like it's pretty as
It's-
far as an event, as effective as you're really gonna.
Yeah,
Okay.
as effective, like the press conference they did say, and I know for a fact that they do have a quote unquote like temporary police station on site. But like you walk in and the kids that are there, and I say kids because they are probably younger than me. They're the cadets, as Jamie pointed out, for the getting into the program. But they're
CSOs you're talking about?
yeah.
the explorers.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. Explorers.
I carry my purse with me because I have a lot of crap to carry around, so I know what I can and can't have in there. And all he did was, all they can do is look in and touch the bottom. They kind of like fluff it to see. A lot of it, they're looking for a knife or a flask is really what they're looking for. They're looking for alcohol and weapons. And it's like, but if you think about it, like my sunscreen was right on top. You couldn't really see anything else that was in my bag if you don't know, like if it's not stand out enough that, that's my knife, or I have something that looks like a knife or that doesn't look like a knife but is. It's really not that great, but I did get wanded, and as I was walking through, like I started to pull out my cell phone and my lighter, and I like went to go put my arms out. She's like, "Oh, you don't have pockets, you're fine." And I was like, "But I do have pockets." Like, what do you mean I don't have pockets? What do you mean? Like, how can you tell? So many shirts are long these days; they
Right.
go past pockets. How can you tell? Freaking wand everybody, wand that stroller up and down. You never know.
Yeah.
It could be a sack of flour. for all
Yeah,
we know
exactly.
there.
And
Someone's got weapons.
I think that like a lot of people didn't like, even though it was said, they didn't understand the fact that he breached the fence line. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right. He didn't come through the main gates.
Exactly.
So I worked vendor security, and that's at the top of the hill on Miller and Silva's Crossing there. So at the top of the hill, we let everybody in, like the vendors. We check to make sure that they have tickets as well as a parking permit to get their vehicle in, and then we look inside the vehicles to make sure that we charge appropriately because they still have to pay for people they bring in, but also to make sure that they're not trying to sneak people in. So we get a good look at everybody who comes in. So as far as like security, I can tell you that the Garlic Festival had, as far as law enforcement, like a huge amount of law enforcement. I'm not talking just like local and city, like different cities. I've seen like Mountain View and Sunnyvale and Cupertino and like surrounding cities, right? But I've also seen come through the top of the gate the Department of Justice, probation, FBI, Homeland Security. Like there's like real law enforcement. And in walking through the park, you see the blue uniforms in packs. I mean, every single year I've ever gone, like, I'm like super aware of cops. I just am. And you see, like, one year I counted, I think there was like 12 packs of 7 in a group. So, I mean, that's a lot of law enforcement walking around. And there was no way, I mean, this guy totally caught everybody off guard, but was met with immediately overwhelming force. I can tell you that right now. Like the response was so fast.
Yeah, Joel said there's a lot of undercover officers too.
There's
which
tons of undercover. So
Yeah.
the inside the park is safe. He got through a breach in the fence. I don't think there's any way that he could have gotten through the main gates.
Yeah, so to touch
Not with
on
a
that,
rifle,
to
no.
kind of touch on that with the chat here, Phil and Corey. Yeah, so regardless of how consistent the cadets were with wanting people when they came in, it didn't really matter because this guy didn't use the approved entry method to get into the park. He came in through
Breached the fence.
Yeah, he breached the fence.
Yeah,
came into
I
an
mean-
unauthorized gateway. So it didn't really matter what they were doing for security at the front gate because it obviously, even if they weren't wanting everybody, it still wasn't one of the patrons that all of a sudden just pulled a fucking rifle out
Right.
of their pants. You know what
I mean,
Yeah.
they are obviously doing a good job because there hasn't been like stabbings in the park in previous years.
Well, I mean,
maybe
not
way
lately.
back. No, I mean maybe way back, or you get a group of guys who start fighting or whatever.
Well,
they've even cracked down on that. Like,
oh yeah,
like
no,
the
they
gang-
Yeah, the
have,
night
the
before they
the
had
colors and all
6
that
or
kind of
7
stuff.
guys all locked up for
they have
fighting.
their own
Yeah.
little jail over there too, I believe,
Right.
don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And then I mean, like,
I mean,
honestly,
there's a
the
ton of law
fences
enforcement
were-
in there.
The fences are only there to keep people from sneaking into the garlic festival.
Right.
You know, it wasn't to like as a actual security measure.
Yeah, it's not a
Right.
wall. It's a
Right.
chain link
It's a
fence.
chain link fence to keep people from getting in without paying. That's really all it's for.
Right, and
I mean, we'll see what happens next year. That might change.
oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
at least they'll have like a perimeter control. More people, more law enforcement watching the perimeters.
Yeah.
I mean, I could only imagine the security from this point on is going to get better.
Mm-hmm. And now, that way we got to at least touch on the security thing real quick. Now, how's it affected, like, the friends, family, the community? Wanted to talk a little bit about that. We have touched on it already, but I
Right.
mean, like, anyone have thoughts on that part of it?
I mean, right now at this point, I think it's really early, and like for me, like I know it hit me right away because I feel so connected to the Garlic Festival. Like people know me from the Garlic Festival. They know that like every year that they're gonna see me there, and they're gonna I run into like friends I haven't seen in years. Who've left town and only come back for the Garlic Festival. So. It hits me right away. It hit me like right away.
Well, I mean, Chelsea, she said earlier in the chat, and I know just from talking to her outside, she's all the way in Florida. Like, she's worried about her mom. She's worried about her friends. Like, I had to FaceTime her because she was freaking out that Jamie and I weren't, okay. And I was like, no, we're okay. And so I finally brought her up on the Facebook video chat. I was like, we're fine. See, Jamie's fine. Like, we're okay. She's panicking, almost in tears, and her mom was actually in the cash vault that they were on lockdown until way late last night. So
Wow.
she was.
She
was a
according
wreck.
to Chelsea here in the chat, her mom was actually one of the last people out of the park, making sure that everyone else got out before them.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I had-
actually, very very heroic thing for her to do. That's actually pretty.
Yeah, I
awesome.
had people from a couple of my friends that moved to Oregon, that area, hitting me up. Are you okay? Your friend's okay? Just one of the ladies I know. I think she went to like Arizona from the area. Just tons of people. It was surreal.
The thing is, the Garlic Festival reaches out to so many places, not only in the United States but all over the world.
I was just gonna say that I was standing in line to get shrimp scampi earlier in the day, and this woman comes back and she has an accent. She's trying to tell her friend, she's like, "It's soup," and I got my shrimp scampi, and I was like, I can see why she thought it was soup. I had so much sauce, but like she didn't know what scampi was, like, and you could tell there was a barrier. So it's not just locals, like,
Right.
and it's not just Bay Area. It's not just our country. It's worldwide. People come all over the place to hear. And it affects so many. Like, unfortunately, one of the deceased was, going to college in New York and had a friend with him, an old classmate with him. So that affected that New York campus, entirely. Like, they lost one of their own, and it's not. Everybody thinks like, oh, Gilroy, it's a Gilroy thing, and it's like, no. Within the volunteers, we have a heavily, community base for this festival. But it's the patrons that are there that are just broad spectrum of anywhere
Right.
on the world, anywhere on the map.
Right.
So we got someone who texted in. Jennifer says that her mom was also in the cash vault, actually, where they do all the treasury, where they keep all the money.
Oh my
Okay.
And
God.
she was in the last group that they let out as well. So her mom. So basically, what happened? Because I was
Glad your mom's okay, Jennifer.
she was updating me too, as I was keeping her updated yesterday, just because everything was really hectic. And she was telling me about how her mom, because they deal with money, they made all the people that deal with the treasury stuff lock themselves in the trailer, and they had to just wait there on lockdown until they were allowed to
That's
leave.
horrible.
Damn.
So like we got evacuated, right? Because we weren't in an area that handled money, and all the people that did handle the money were that. Oh my God, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just so glad that law enforcement was able to act quickly and take this guy out
Within a minute.
And-
That's
yeah,
amazing.
and-
Kudos to you, Gilroy.
and really like stop like a bigger tragedy than what has happened. I mean, not to minimize it at all, because a 6-year-old boy was killed also.
Yeah, 13-year-old girl and I believe a guy in his 20s.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Oh,
the
shit.
New York. That was the guy from New York, and this could have been so much worse. Even this guy alone could have done so much more damage had law enforcement not stopped him right away. I mean, we're really fortunate. I know there's the school shootings and the other mass shootings across the country, where I mean there's a casualty on top of casualty, and it's just we're really fortunate that it didn't get to that point here.
So do we want to move on to the last topic? You have those
Well, hang on a
tweets
second.
in?
I'm just
Okay,
going to
go
address
Go
the
ahead.
chat again. Yeah, Jennifer saying that after it was all said and done, they told them to go ahead and continue counting the money.
Oh, of course.
Like, what the fuck? So there's that, and then Susan, first time ever being on our live stream here. Susan, I
Welcome.
used to work with her in the gaming industry.
Hey, Susan.
Susan, shout out, thanks for coming in, really appreciate it. She said she's on vacation in Wisconsin, heard about it, dropped everything, got on the phone. She hit me up on
Right.
Facebook, I think, and so I had contact with people all over the country, that I've worked with in various places and whatnot. That was really cool to hear from you, Susan. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate
My
it.
brother was on a plane from the Midwest watching it on his phone.
Damn.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Another friend messaged me from San Diego, asking me what was going on. I think there was a kind of acquaintance from Tulsa who was messaging me. So I mean, people all over the place were. I mean, you hear like we think, like, to me, like, I don't think Gilroy is very well known. Like when I think about like all the places in the world, but
Actually,
apparently
it is.
like it is. I mean, this festival touches the entire country. I mean, it's amazing. So
Well, you mentioned Morgan Hill. People don't know what the hell you're talking about. You mentioned Gilroy and like, oh, garlic.
Well, yeah, and then they had at the Ford store, they had that active shooting situation.
Oh, yeah,
happen,
that's
too,
right.
Just a
Yeah.
couple weeks back.
yeah, not too long ago.
Susan, thank you for being a fan of the show. I really appreciate it. Yeah, this is just a little thing that we like to do, and I'm glad that you're a listener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jamie. So, any
So-
other final thoughts on that part of the whole?
Not really. Nothing that we haven't already touched on. It was a pretty traumatic event. But I mean, all in all, the people that I was around, we all handled it really well. My family, Valerie, who's with me as well, like we all remained calm, and we sort of took up the active role of directing people. My buddy Dale was there with us as well, also remaining calm, just getting on the phone, find out where his mom was, because I think she was at the festival at the time, and had his cousin and cousin's girlfriend with him, and sort of kept them together. And all in all, we corralled everybody up pretty well, in my opinion. Looking back, there's not really anything else I could have done better, I don't think. We made adequate use of cover from where we understood the threat was, and we got everyone out in an organized fashion. The only thing I wish I would have done differently was been armed. Honestly, that's the only thing that would
And a
have.
scanner.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, my fucking
We're gonna
radio. I almost brought it, and then I didn't, because I'm like, why am I going to need this? I felt I was going to be 10 feet away from a police officer the entire time, because usually they have one manning our booth, and this year I didn't fucking see one. So
you didn't hear the little Johnny on your shoulder tell you be prepared.
yeah, I did. I did, but
Yeah,
But you didn't do it.
I looked at the Johnny with the angel wings instead, and it said something different. So it was, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, basically, we wanted to talk about like where this all is going to lead into and what's going to come from this. So, obviously, what you're talking about, how Gilroy is a small place and all that, and you didn't expect that. Well,
Right.
obviously, the social media presence and all that,
Right.
is going to promote that. I mean, I've never thought in a million years I'd be watching Fox News and CNN and watching
Seeing
them
Gilroy
talk
on there.
Right,
yeah.
talk about
us,
Gilroy,
and
yeah.
have all the
It's-
press conferences from our
Right.
elected officials there.
Well,
Yeah.
shit. Seeing the police chief on TV,
On
this guy
national TV.
this guy who's chased me through town before.
Shout out.
on TV.
You-
What's
you
up,
look
Smithy?
Like a person that should be chased.
He knows my family well.
Right? I'm sure you
I would
do.
chase your ass
Yeah.
down too.
Yeah.
I know. He's still
Just
trying
look
to
at you.
chase
So
me.
yeah, I
Sexy.
mean, like obviously, there's like we're all gonna want to know more about like what the motives were and all
Right,
that
right.
stuff. Everyone's gonna be curious about it.
I really don't.
Well, I mean,
really
just the
don't.
general
Yeah,
the
I,
masses.
I
You know what I
totally
mean?
understand that.
So like, there's gonna be that, but ultimately, I think everyone at this table is in agreement. It's complete evil. It's disgusting, and what are we gonna do in this society to get rid of this? I mean, you can never get rid of it 100%. But what can you even do to like minimize this level of evil?
I think,
and I know that gun control
yeah.
is not the answer.
Yeah. No, you know what it is?
No.
Is I mean, there's a lot of hopeless people in the world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hopeless people. There's a lot of mentally ill people, and when you're hopeless or you don't have a way to connect to the community, I mean, stuff like this happens. You know, when you don't feel a part of,
Well,
and it's it. I don't think there's anything specifically we can do, but we can create. I hate to say this, but we can create programs where people were more. Man, I
Well, you
really
lost
don't
your
like to
train of
say
thought
that.
there.
No. It's not that I lost train of thought. Is I really hate saying this because it's going to take government to carry it out.
Negative.
Yeah,
but
well,
I know.
and Phil
No, I
Dunn-
mean, we can have volunteers. You know, go out and help people and do more in our community. I think. And
Phil did bring up the point that the gun was bought legally. in
Oh yeah,
Nevada.
but here's the thing. So let's touch on that real quick. So what we think we know at this point is SKS. They are illegal to buy here. He bought it legally in Nevada and brought it
Yes.
in here. So that's what we know. Now, obviously, we have a different opinion on the show about firearms than most people do. But nonetheless, like, it was still an illegal action of using it and obviously using it and
Right.
actually bringing it into the state. So that
yes.
government-wise, it was already an illegal act.
right.
I mean, there's actually, I'll just read this tweet that I actually saw that actually, sums it up pretty well with the whole gun control narrative. It says, there's no ordinance or ban that you can place on the evil that lies within the human heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Well said.
Right. Yeah. It's not a gun control issue. It's a mental health issue. I mean, a gun is a tool, but the mind is something different altogether.
And here's the other thing: is like every time there's a mass shooter, they almost always fit the same kind of profile, right?
Right.
Oh,
They're always
yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
weird
yeah.
loner. They always have some mental instability. There's something wrong with them in the beginning.
A
You know
white
what I mean?
male.
Right.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
making us all
Yeah,
look
this
bad.
guy was none of that.
So
Doesn't
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't a white
Phil
male.
even says, if it was a CCW state, it might be more of a deterrent.
Right.
Which you're goddamn right. Like shit, man. I never kicked myself in the ass more for not trying to get my CCW.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
luck getting it here.
I know it's hard, but
It's impossible. It's
So
not
what do you
hard.
think is going to be the outcome of all this nonsense? You think they're going to be pushing more gun laws here in
They're,
Of
California?
they're already
course.
pushing that shit. They're-
Even though this would have had nothing, it wouldn't change anything.
So
No.
Kamala Harris tweeted out last
Yep.
night.
Jamie, actually, do you have that? We can put that up there.
which one?
I sent it in the group chat.
A tweet?
Those two tweets, that screenshots.
That one?
No,
That's a different thing.
they're tweets.
Yeah.
They're screenshots of tweets.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, you saved them as
these
well.
are all-
Okay, there's one of
these
them.
are all
Yeah,
things
there's
that are
one.
downloadable.
Right.
There we go.
I'm working through it here, folks.
There
Don't
we
use that
go.
terminology.
You're supposed to be the tech guy, dude.
Jesus.
Like, we don't know any of this shit.
Which one's first?
Do the Kamala Harris because Chris just brought that up.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Joe
Oh,
Biden.
no, go back.
It was the other one.
There we go.
This one?
Bo.
Yeah, I didn't say.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
So who's gonna?
Yeah, I can't read it.
So
Go ahead.
Kamala
I
Harris.
can read it.
Kamala Harris tweeted out simply horrific. I'm grateful for the first responders who are on the scene in Gilroy, and the thoughts are with the community tonight. Our country has a gun violence epidemic that we cannot tolerate.
So it's an epidemic now when it's actually not that common to actually have a mass shooting.
And we have like the highest gun control.
yeah,
Yeah.
the highest gun control laws in the country besides probably New York and Chicago.
It goes back into what we say on the podcast all the time. Evil people are going to do evil shit. Doesn't matter what the laws. They're
Right.
going to get their hands on
Right.
whatever they can. And if he couldn't get his hands on that, he could have drove a vehicle through the whole gate. and all
That too,
Yeah.
or just showed up with a knife and just randomly started stabbing people. I mean,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of
Yeah.
scenarios that could have happened. The fact
So-
is,
The other one.
Yeah.
evil is gonna do evil acts, and there's we can prepare for it, but we can't completely stop something like that.
So we also have we have a tweet from
Joe Biden.
from the former VP of the United States that likes to touch people without their consent.
You want to read it? Chris,
Yeah, go
real
ahead.
fast?
I'll read it. So
Go ahead.
it says, this is from Joe Biden. This violence is not normal. How many more families will have to lose a loved one before we fix our broken gun laws? We must take action, starting with real reform. What more fucking laws would prevent this? I mean, murder is already illegal.
I mean, we already have
guns
we
are
already
illegal.
have gun laws. Like,
maybe
tell
hello
me
to
which,
more gun laws in Nevada.
Tell me
now.
what gun law that we can institute right now that would have prevented yesterday's.
Nothing.
Like,
not in California.
Nope. Because he bought a gun legally in Nevada and then brought it to California, which is illegal. So obviously the law that said he couldn't bring it here didn't work.
Well, isn't the park is probably a gun-free zone also? Right?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
Exactly,
well, I mean,
Jason.
statistically, it would have to be in order for it to there be a
Well,
mass
just
shooting
even
there.
without the event, you know what I mean?
Right.
Even
Yeah.
without the event, yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
like day to day, just I mean, and like during the year, there's baseball diamonds there,
Yeah.
and
Soccer games,
yes,
everything, yeah.
all kinds of stuff there.
I mean, I do understand, people, this is an emotional, time.
Right.
And that, they want answers. They want to know if there's something that could have prevented. They think there is. But honestly, I think it was handled the best way it could have been handled.
Right.
Right. Moving forward, maybe they could have a little bit beefier security, but
yeah, I think that's where things could be different if they had a tighter perimeter and more security.
Because that area, dude, that is a pain in the ass to secure.
Well, we were talking about like the only way that you could even somewhat prevent it. What happened is you'd almost have to have a 2-layered fence system. Yeah. So you have an outside fence, and then you have another fence, and then you have like a demilitarized thing, and that's going to be a lot more.
You know what's crazy is
way.
that this day and age of technology,
right?
There was no cameras watching.
Yeah, there was
anything.
no cameras.
That was that.
Even our local Walmart parking lot has trailers with boom stands with cameras,
and their Gilroy PD set up cameras. I mean, they have like 16 cameras on a thing, and it has a generator to power those, and it broadcasts it. I mean,
yeah.
So it just blows me away that they didn't that there is not that technology available at the Garlic Festival like right now.
Well, I'll give you my perspective on cameras. So it depends on how many cameras you have, how many people you have. Because I do work security, and I have worked in a global security operations center. People think that we're monitoring every single camera all the time. Honestly, we're not. If we're having a certain event, we might have certain cameras on certain areas, but mostly it's reactionary. We're going back and when did this happen?
Yeah, after the fact.
Right.
You can't have enough.
But see, that's
to
what we
monitor
should.
Every single camera.
That's what I'm getting at. Is like they, who knows? Maybe they do and didn't are not saying that they had the cameras, but they can go back and they could have went back and made sure that was a lone gunman and that there wasn't a second party.
No, you're actually right.
Involved.
That you are correct.
That could have confirmed it, and they
went. Yeah, Phil. Just so you know, we agree with you on that one, bud.
Yeah,
he's like,
you guys got any?
Hang on.
Did we just go offline?
Our stream crashed. Yeah.
We
I don't know if you guys can still hear us in the chat. Let us know.
We disappeared.
Did it come back?
Back? Oh, we're back.
Did it come back?
We're back.
Are we back?
Yes, we are back.
Okay, we're back.
All right, we're here.
We disappeared for a minute.
I mean, I don't know. You guys, let us know. I mean, what do you think? What could have prevented this? I mean, what gun laws do we not have? Do we need to have, or what gun laws do we need to remove?
Zero.
I mean,
shit made concealed carry or open carry.
We're all about the Second
go.
Amendment here. I mean, we
there's
all
a gun
believe
law.
that everybody should be carrying all the time, every day, 24 hours a day.
Why don't we have pro-gun laws?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna all have to take from this is basically like this goes with anything is like obviously like we've talked about on the show a lot. Know your surroundings.
Right.
Have contingency plans. Make sure you're wearing shoes. Make sure you have everything that you guys can think of you might be called paranoid, but
You're
I'd
right,
rather
Jennifer.
be prepared than not. Do as much as you can, and then where you go from that is just like talk to your friends. Like when you go to something, like if we get separated, where are you going to meet up?
Right.
If something crazy happens, hug the wall. Like have like a little bit of a plan. And then having said that, like what are you guys thoughts about community stuff? We talked about that already, but like as in kind of like as we're going to wrap this up. Like, check in with your friends or family. Make sure anyone that was actually there is doing okay. Because some people are going to be living with some crazy stress level stuff. Some people can just walk off and not do it. it is what it is. Other people might have this affecting them for years.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so you guys got to check in on your friends and family.
Check your peeps.
Any thoughts on that?
To me, that's a huge deal. Like, we don't need politicians.
fuck
We
them.
need each other, and I think that's a huge importance to be connected to your loved ones and to your friends. I mean, we're lucky that we have each other. You know.
Yes, we are.
Thanks, Corey.
we're all close, and we can all reach out to each other at any time. We all check in on each other, and that I know that helps my mental health for sure. You know, like I don't like being alone. I don't like feeling alone. So like whenever I feel that way, I reach out to friends, or you guys reach out to me.
Right.
But it's important that, you know, like this kid, who knows what was going on in his life, or, you know, if he was connected or not. But it's less likely that somebody is going to take these kinds of extreme actions when you have a good, solid core group of people in your life.
Yep.
Yeah, and just check, like we were saying, check in on anyone that's been affected by this. You
Right.
know what I mean? Because anyone that saw any of that stuff go down, or just can't handle that stress of even just panicking
Talk
and
to
getting out,
somebody,
you know,
yeah.
they might not
Yeah.
even have seen anything.
Just talk to somebody.
Yeah, see how they're doing, and you know that's all you can really do, right?
Yeah. And Gilroy, I mean, we are close people. I mean,
This
like-
is my family. I don't
yeah.
consider you guys friends. You're family.
I have
Straight up.
I have friends who I've known, you know, since I was like 5 years old here in Gilroy. You know, like I just grew up with, went through every grade with. You know, I'm 43 years old, and you know, I've had friends for like 40 of those years. You know, growing up, and that's why I was like, for me, I was like in such a panic, trying to make sure that the people I loved were okay. You know, of course, I'm thinking about the rest of the community too. Like, how is this going to change us? How is it going to affect the next garlic festival? Are we going to have another garlic festival?
Oh no,
You know?
we will. Fuck that.
You know, and I hope this never stops. And I hope that you guys out there never stop going to the garlic festival. Like, we help so many people volunteering our time and reaching out into the community and giving back while we're having fun and eating and being connected. Like there's things that connect people, like, and make bonds, and that's food and music. And that's what the Garlic Festival is about. It's about a bonding
100%.
of food, music, and friends and family and love. And
we even had to kind of touch on that on a day that I wasn't able to go. Unfortunately, there was a bunch of ECV guys that all met up, and they honored one of our brothers that has passed away 1 year ago. This month.
Right, yeah. See, that's so important.
The
man.
Garlic Festival is one of his favorite things to go to every year. And so, I mean, there's only about 12, 15 people or something that were able to gather up and do it. But his parents were there. They thanked everybody. You know, they all had a drink in his name. And they just kind of sort of celebrated his life for a moment, you know, and then they all went about their...
I went to that. There was a fair few people there. And I didn't know him as well. And I didn't really know him at all. But I went because, you know, Jack wanted the support and Riley was there. And,
that's who I thought. Yeah, Ron.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
think Jennifer posted his RP Ron. Yeah.
So I had a cousin who passed away last year, and his cousins would come in from Arizona, and they would all go together, every year. And when he passed away, it was like devastating. But family were posting pictures of him wearing, a hat with the Garlic Festival logo, his tie-dye shirt with the Garlic Festival logo on it. I mean, there's people who have gone, like, I hadn't missed a Garlic Festival in like 26 years, because it's part of like,
it's what you do when you live here.
This is Gilroy. I mean, this is like our spring break, pretty much.
No, it totally is.
Yeah.
So Phil came in the chat here and he said, I've never really been a hardcore gun advocate, but I want to protect myself and my loved ones. Ultimately, I don't want to be restricted on how I can do that. Now, Phil, that is exactly what this fucking show is about, bro.
Phil.
We can disagree.
I feel a little freedom. I feel freedom ringing right now.
Freedom is ringing. I got a little bit of a freedom boner right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Freedom
Definitely.
boners.
Johnny's crying a
take
freedom
care
tear.
of it, please.
One freedom tear.
Freedom tier.
Freedom tear.
I'm just curious,
So-
you guys feel them?
Well, the reason why I wanted to read that comment out loud is because that is a lot of the things that, if you look at like libertarians and anarcho-capitalists, a lot of the times you'll notice that you can come into our group, our safe space, and you can be like, you guys are all fucking stupid, and everyone's like, that. I mean, you're cool to think that.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't get fucking crazy.
You're right.
Yeah, everyone's like, well, I disagree.
You fucking.
But that's cool. Like,
liberal, alt-right, vegans.
You named everyone. All statists in one little
Seriously.
So
the fuck did you?
Yeah,
leave
it
out?
is the fact that you can say, "Hey, I'm not a huge gun rights advocate, but I don't want to be restricted," is exactly what this show is about. We're about let people do whatever the fuck they want to do as long as they're not harming others, and don't have government put any regulations or restrictions or legislation on specific things.
Every gun law is an infringement.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
I
gun
want
law.
pro-gun laws. Like I can have a fucking concealed carry permit in Santa Clara County.
Well,
I
it's
can
just-
open carry.
well, let's just point out real quick that every single time one of these events happens, it's always in a gun-free zone. Always.
Yep.
100%
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, we did a whole show about it. You know,
we have.
how these laws are those safe spaces. They don't work. I mean, those are they wind up being targets for predators.
They're feel good laws.
Yep.
Right, absolutely.
Well, and then one thing I like to point out too is that these people are, without getting too much into their mindset, but they're at the end of their rope. They're actually mentally lost,
It's
right?
a mental health
And it's
issue.
complete evil. So they're like, okay, no one's got a gun there. Law enforcement's gonna kill me. So
Right.
it's like a murder by cop scenario, and I'm gonna take as many people as I want
Right.
with me.
Because
and they're gonna do that always.
They're not going to show up to the police station and shoot up the police station.
No, because they want as many casualties.
Yeah, they're not going to go to a military base.
They don't want a
No.
fair fight.
Yeah, they don't want to. They don't want to fight.
They don't want
And,
a fair fight. They don't want to fight at
no.
all.
The FBI did a study that says once the shooter is engaged, all homicide stops or all deaths stop. So.
Yeah, so what you're saying is basically once he's engaged by another person with a gun,
right.
then it drops down to
It's
zero.
Zero
Well, yeah,
deaths.
they're cowards.
But
I
in
mean,
the meantime, it's like 3 deaths per.
Because now
minute.
that guy's got to
Yeah.
focus on the
Right.
each other, the
Right.
target,
So
or he's dead.
when a shooter walks into an area where there's no guns or no innocent people in masses, it's like 3 deaths per minute. And once law enforcement or somebody with a gun engages them, it drops down to 0 immediately because
Yeah.
these guys don't want to fight. They
Fuck no.
just want to harm people.
Yep.
So the best
and
thing
they
that,
don't know how.
the best thing that we can do is be ready for that and and protect ourselves. And the best way to do that is to have a firearm at your side.
Hell yeah.
All right, you guys got any closing thoughts before we wrap this up? We're going
I
to
just
record
want
our
to say
podcast soon.
kudos to Gilroy PD for, as I said, responding so quickly. Thoughts go out to the families that have been affected by this. Hopefully you guys get the help you need, and sucks that this happened, but we gotta learn from it and move on.
Right.
And I just wanted to say once again, check in on your friends and family, and anyone that's been affected, check in on them consistently, at least for the next couple days for sure. Make sure they're okay.
Absolutely.
I actually had Kim check in on me while we were in this live stream. She's like, "How you doing today?"
Good.
And it's
Yeah.
I
Hi,
told her
Kim.
thanks for checking in, and it does mean a lot. It's like I am still a little bit shaken, but it's gonna move past that. I'm like, more than anything, I'm just sore and tired. Like that's kind of where it's
Yeah,
at right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw, just real quick, I saw Jamie and Val, right, and me and Bo did, at the end of the night, and they were just you could tell they were just exhausted. They were still amped up, wired, adrenaline was still in their system.
All I saw is Jamie get out of
But
the Uber with a big
they-
ass fucking thing of beer.
Yeah, they were just, yeah, they were just
I
done.
texted
I was like,
Johnny.
oh,
I was
Jamie's
like,
home.
I'm getting fucked up tonight,
Yeah.
dude. Like, I'm literally gonna party like it's the end of the fucking world. because-
Anyone else on closing up here?
Hey,
No, I just wanted to shout out to the chat. Josh Jackson, we got here. Chelsea, Phil, everybody, Bianca, Jason, Jennifer, all the people
Steven
that
for
are
the
joining.
donation.
Yeah, thank you, Steven.
Corey.
Thank you, Susan, for popping in there for a little bit. It's really
Phil.
cool to have everybody in here. I'm sorry that we sort of used this tragedy to our advantage to sort of publicize this a little bit, but we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah,
and we wanted
it's-
to give a
Everyone in the community, especially here, is talking about it. So all
Yeah.
our friends and family that want to know about it, we
You know,
had to do one about this.
yeah, we're just relaying our experience through the show. I know we were able to connect with people, and I think people need a voice that they can feel connected to, like we're doing right now. And I see that there's a lot of people watching. There's 19 people watching right now, and for you guys out there, remember, thoughts and prayers are the way that we deal with grief and tragedy. but it's action and protecting yourself that really make the difference. Look out for your friends and look out for your own safety.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. All right, guys. I guess we're going to go ahead and call it then. Thank you so much for coming up to the weekly Grim 86 Freedom First live stream. Talking
Next
about
Monday.
Next Monday. Hit us up.
And we're going to do a little hot gummy
We're
bear
going to do the
challenge.
hot gummy bears next Monday.
I
Barring
hate all of
Right,
you for this
right.
shit.
And then check out our regular podcast, and you can find it at all the free
Hate you.
places on the internet where they give away free podcasts. Because
Yeah, so definitely check us
we're
out,
not
guys.
that popular
Obviously,
yet.
we're on Facebook, Twitter,
so we can't
YouTube,
charge you.
Instagram, SoundCloud, Pornhub, Patreon, and Spotify. So if you guys can either download us at an MP3 and listen to us on the go, you guys can stream us through a streaming music service like Spotify or SoundCloud, or you guys can just pull us up right here on YouTube. That way you get the little video clip and you get to see our beautiful faces.
Yeah, and watch us
So-
die next week.
Debatable.
Yeah. Debatable.
Watch us die next week.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks again. This has been the Grim 86 of Freedom First live stream. We'll come at you guys again live next week. Thanks for watching.
Don't trust
Thank
your
you,
leaders.
bye.